Do you know that right now, as you are watching this video, a machine is studying you? Not with cameras, not with microphones, but with something far more intimate than any of that. It knows what time you woke up this morning. It knows what made you laugh yesterday. It knows what you are afraid of, what you want, and what you are about to do next. And it knew all of this before you even realized it yourself. What would you do if you found out the most powerful technology ever built by human hands was already living inside your phone, your hospital, your bank, and your daily life? What would you do if you found out it saved someone's life today and committed fraud today and wrote something beautiful today and spread a dangerous lie today, all before noon? And what will happen to you, your career, your family, and your future if you do not understand what is coming next? That is what this video is about. Stay with me, because by the end of this, the world is going to look very different to you. It is 1950. The world is still recovering from the deadliest war in human history. Computers are the size of entire rooms. Nobody has a smartphone. Nobody has the internet. And a young British mathematician, the same man who cracked the Nazi Enigma code and helped end the Second World War, sits down and asks a question that no one had ever dared to ask before. Can machines think? Not can machines calculate. Not can machines store data. Can a machine actually think? Can it reason? Can it understand? Can it become intelligent? At the time, most people thought this was insane. Machines were just tools. You press a button, it does a task. That is it. But this mathematician had seen what machines could do when pushed to their absolute limits. And he believed, deeply believed, that intelligence itself was not magic. It was a process. And if it was a process, it could be replicated. He proposed a test. A human sits behind a curtain. A machine sits behind another curtain. You talk to both of them. If you cannot tell which one is the machine, then the machine has, for all intents and purposes, passed the test. The machine is thinking. That idea became the holy grail of computer science for the next 70 years. Do you want to know if we ever built a machine that passed it? We did. Comfortably. Which means the question is no longer can machines think. The question now is what happens to us now that they can. Let me ask you something personal. How did you learn to recognize a dog? Nobody sat you down with a textbook. Nobody gave you a list of rules that said 4 legs, fur, tail, it barks. No. You were a baby. Someone pointed at something and said dog. Then another one. Dog. Then 100 more. And eventually your brain just knew. You did not need a definition. You had seen enough examples that your brain built its own internal understanding. That is exactly how modern artificial intelligence works. You show it millions of examples, millions of photos of dogs and cats and human faces and cancerous cells and fraudulent transactions, and you let it build its own internal rules. Rules that even the engineers who built it cannot fully explain, because those rules exist as billions of mathematical connections deep inside the machine. And here's the part that changes everything. The machine is not programmed with rules. It discovers the rules itself from data. Now imagine scaling that up. Instead of dog photos, you feed it the entire internet. Every book ever written, every scientific paper ever published, every human conversation ever recorded. What comes out the other side? Something that can write poetry, something that can explain quantum physics, something that can help a doctor diagnose a disease that human eyes had missed, something that can write software used by millions of people around the world. That is not a calculator. That is not a search engine. That is something genuinely new in the history of the human race. Do you remember where you were on November 30th, 2022? Most people do not. But that date changed the world in a way that almost nothing else in the history of technology ever has. A company released an AI product that anyone could talk to, not a chatbot that gives you preset answers from a list. A genuine back-and-forth conversation. You could ask it to write you a cover letter, and it would sound better than most humans could write. You could ask it to explain nuclear physics like you are 5 years old, and it would do exactly that. You could ask it to debug your code, plan your holiday, write your wedding speech, summarize a legal document, and it would just do it. 1 million users in 5 days. 100 million users in 2 months. No product in the history of technology had ever grown that fast. Not any social media platform, not any app. Nothing came close. Take an unusual route because of traffic ahead. That was an AI processing real-time location data from millions of phones simultaneously to predict where the roads would slow down. That is artificial intelligence. And then there is this one. In 2023, researchers published findings showing that an AI system had detected early-stage lung cancer in patients that human radiologists had missed. Not once, consistently. Across multiple studies, a machine saved lives, not instead of the doctor, alongside the doctor, making the doctor better, catching what human eyes could not catch. Let that land for a moment. Your bank does something similar every single day. Every transaction you make is checked by an AI against your spending history in milliseconds. If something looks wrong, it is flagged or blocked before the fraud even completes. Most people have had a fraudulent transaction stopped without ever knowing it was attempted. That was artificial intelligence, silently protecting you. This is not the future. This is your Tuesday. Now here is where I have to be honest with you, because so far I have been telling you the exciting parts, and I think you deserve the full picture. What would you do if you saw a video of a world leader declaring war? What would you do if you received a video call from your boss asking you to transfer company money to an urgent account? In 2024, scammers created a completely fake AI-generated video call using the face of a company's chief financial officer. An employee on the call believed it was real. He wired $25 million. Gone. Because of a fake face on a screen. We are entering an era where seeing is no longer believing, where the most fundamental human trust, I saw it with my own eyes, is being quietly dismantled. That is not a small thing. And there is another problem. Artificial intelligence learns from human data, and human data is full of human prejudice. These are not theories. These are documented facts. AI hiring tools that consistently ranked women's applications lower than men's for the exact same qualifications. AI tools used in the American court system that predicted certain groups were more likely to reoffend at rates that turned out to be wildly and dangerously inaccurate. The machine is not evil. The machine learned from us, and we are biased, so the machine became biased, but faster, at scale, and with an authority that felt objective because it came from a computer. And perhaps the most unsettling truth of all is this. The AI systems that exist today are so complex that even their own creators cannot fully explain why they give the answers they give. The engineers can see what goes in and what comes out. But the reasoning in the middle? It is happening in layers of mathematics so deep and so interconnected that it is, in the truest sense, a black box. We built something we cannot fully see inside. Now, the question I know has been sitting in your mind since the start of this video. Is artificial intelligence going to take your job? Here is the honest answer. Some jobs, yes. The ones that involve doing the same task over and over with information that can be processed digitally. Data entry, basic customer service, simple document processing, routine research, standard first drafts. These will shrink. But here is what history tells us.
Will create even more new ones. The opportunity is real, but only for the people who adapt. So the question is not, will artificial intelligence take my job? The better question is, how do I make sure I am the person using artificial intelligence, rather than the person being replaced by it? Because there is a version of your future where AI is the most powerful tool you have ever had in your hands. And there is a version where it simply does what you used to do, without you. Which version happens is largely up to you. Let me tell you about something that happened in 2023 that most people never heard about. Biologists had been working on a problem called protein folding for over 50 years. Understanding how proteins fold determines how diseases work, how drugs can be designed, how life itself operates at a molecular level. It was considered one of the hardest problems in all of science. An artificial intelligence system solved it. Not in 50 years, in months. Right now, AI is being used to design new medicines for diseases that currently have no cure. Researchers are running simulations in weeks that would have taken decades of laboratory work. In climate science, AI models are predicting extreme weather events earlier and more accurately than ever before. Space agencies are using AI to process data from the edges of the observable universe because there is simply too much information for human scientists to handle on their own. AI is helping us understand life. It is helping us understand the planet. It is helping us understand the universe. And then there is the question that the smartest people on Earth are losing sleep over. What happens when artificial intelligence becomes smarter than all of us? Not just better at chess, not just faster at calculations, but genuinely, comprehensively smarter than every human being who has ever lived. Scientists call that moment the singularity. Nobody agrees on when it arrives. Some say 50 years from now. Some say 10. A very small number of serious researchers say we are closer than anyone is comfortable admitting. And when it arrives, nobody knows what comes next. That is the only honest answer. Nobody knows. Now let me answer the question I asked you at the very beginning. Is this technology already watching you? Yes. Every search you have ever made, every video you paused on for more than a second, every product you glanced at, every article you read for more than 30 seconds, every emotion you have ever expressed online, every pattern in your behavior, what time you sleep, what makes you angry, what you are afraid of, what you desire most. It has been collected, processed, analyzed by systems designed to understand you, often better than you understand yourself. And right now, those systems are being used to sell you things, shape your opinions, and influence what you believe about the world. That is the most important reason to understand artificial intelligence, not because you want to become a programmer, not because you want to build the next great technology company, but because you are already living inside a world built by it, and you deserve to understand the world you are living in. Artificial intelligence is not coming. It is here. It is in your phone, your hospital, your bank, your social media feed. It saved lives today. It committed fraud today. It wrote something beautiful today. It spread a dangerous lie today. It is the most powerful tool humanity has ever built. And like every powerful tool, from fire to nuclear energy, what it becomes depends entirely on the people who understand it. So keep learning, keep asking questions, keep watching. The people who understand what is happening right now are the ones who get to help decide what comes next. And now you are one of them.